Hi there, it's Joe Ward, back to see you again. And just when we thought we were done with elections for at least a little while, Tim Houston had other plans, and he decided to violate his own fixed election dates and send us back to the polls immediately. Only this time, we don't even get voter cards in the mail. So does that sound democratic to you? Well, when I finished second in the mayoral race in October, many people congratulated me on a good attempt, and they encouraged me to think ahead for the next one in 4 years' time. And even though I think that's a long time, that's exactly what I intended, although my brain was still a little bit stuck in campaign mode. You see, we were so close to securing a role that would allow me to do good things for the CBRM, it was hard to put that into hibernation mode. Now, during my mayoral campaign, MLA Fred Tilley had endorsed my opponent, now the new mayor, Cecil Clark, early on in the campaign. And then 3 days after the election, he defected and joined Houston on the other side, with many believing that it was all about an offer of a cabinet position and a tidy little pay bump, and certainly all coordinated in advance. But he interfered with our CBRM election. And then we find out that all the rumors are true. Houston has been coordinating with Councillor Darren O'Quinn for months to run as an MLA for the Conservatives. But O'Quinn didn't care. He ran for the CBRM council spot anyway. He got reelected without telling his supporters that he planned to do so. And before the guy can even get sworn in, he's announcing his intention to run as an MLA for Houston. These guys have sunk to a whole new low. And this is no PR stunt, as Houston might say, it's simply the reality. And I think this election is going to be about trust as much as it is about healthcare and housing and affordability and the state of our roads. If we can't trust Houston, and he frequently violates his own commitments without any shame, then why are we going to believe any of the little graphics he's plastering all over social media? Let them eat cake quicker. Abandon fixed election dates faster. So my name is Joe Ward, and I'm running to become MLA in Cape Breton East and to hold Tim Houston to account, because whoever is around Tim Houston, running his campaign or guiding his communications, well, they put him on a new path, one that he had to take a sharp and a hazardous right turn to get there. I sat down with Tim Houston before, and he told me he didn't know if he was liberal or conservative when he started. And he may have started out more moderate, but we know what he is now, or at least we know what the campaign team that is calling the shots for him are all about. And not only am I running in Cape Breton East, but I've surprised a lot of people by running with the Liberal Party of Nova Scotia. And I want to tell you why. Houston's unethical election is designed not to facilitate democracy, but to catch the other parties unprepared. This is not about contrasting our plans and letting you decide. Not for him, it's not. What it's about for him is pretending that he's running against Justin Trudeau and insulting your intelligence and insulting our democratic process. If he was confident he could win next July, when everybody was fully prepared, he would have waited for the fixed election date that he himself set in legislation. Now, I thought about an independent run. But the provincial election is not like the municipal election, where in theory, it's not supposed to be run by parties. The provincial election is almost entirely based on parties. And the reality is, even when the candidates are not even yet registered, they already allow voters to cast their vote for the party itself with no name even attached. For years, people have tried to get independent candidates elected, and it's rare. And whenever I suggest that it's my aim, smart people around me remind me that winning puts you in a state of political limbo with no allies in the legislature. Now, I'm bold enough to believe that I could still make an impact as an independent, but I'm also rational enough to understand that it's not about me finding cracks in the system, but it's about achieving the things I think we need to achieve for our communities. And sometimes that requires more than just criticizing the system and asking them to change themselves. It requires changing it from within. Now, the NDP party and the Liberal Party both approached me. And while I tend to be center or center-left and moderate, I didn't feel that a run for the NDP in Glace Bay was the best option for me. But the Liberal Party, and I mean the provincial one because this is not a federal election, they offered me the opportunity to run in Cape Breton East, which covers the riding for basically Sydney River, Myra, and Louisbourg. And that's the riding for my hometown and where I grew up. And my connection there is strong. That is the right riding for me. Whether or not it was once liberal dominated and then moved into the Alfie McLeod era before he and Eddie Orrell lost confidence in Houston as a leader and exercised their conscience to part ways with him and to run federally. Well, that's simply not a part of my decision because I believe in democracy. I believe that people will vote for the best candidate. And I know that I can win Cape Breton East if I have your support. Now, when I was first asked, I was reluctant. It took a week of steady negotiations, and it ultimately came down to one thing. I would not run on the Liberal ticket if I had to abandon my independent thinking and my voice for the community, or depart from all the things that you supported me for during my mayoral campaign. Now, the leader, Zach Churchill, he surprised me, and he made a bold move. He knew all about my fierce independence and my community-first approach and my mayoral platform itself. He talked about the importance of a team to achieve things at the provincial level, but how the team he is building is about smarter policies and better outcomes for Nova Scotians. He knew my views, and he still wanted me to help create policy for the future of this province, especially with my focus on the CBRM. But I don't ever want to just blend in, which, let's face it, it happens all the time in party politics. But he also made another bold move, and he surprised me for a second time. I wanted a commitment to lowering taxes in the CBRM. If it sounds familiar, it's directly from my mayoral campaign. Now, the party already has areas that are focused on affordability and tax reduction and ideas about housing and taxes. But he passed my ideas on to the policy analysts for the party, and we worked together to make sure that the CBRM's tax rates are not forgotten in the platform we're offering for this election. Now, I'm not elected yet, but we've already made progress. I discovered that this team is going to be one that is more interested in creating smart strategies to improve the province than they are about having candidates blend into the background. And I'm not naive. I'm fully aware of how the partisan system tries to keep everyone on message. But Zach Churchill is not naive either, and he's fully aware that as a fiercely independent voice, I will continue pressing for what we need, and I'll let everyone know what we're working on. And if that's the team we're building, then we're in a position to flip seats and win this election. And if we don't do that, we're in a position to flip the seats and push Houston into a minority government where his ego can be kept in check and where we can make sure that he's held to account. And we can make sure that there are no PR stunts and that his MLAs can't get away with mocking the CBRM in the legislature, or representatives like Comer saying Cape Breton gets everything with a straight face while hanging out in Halifax. Better governance, less party politics, creative new policy directions. That's how we win, because that's what Nova Scotians want, and that's what Cape Bretoners want, and that's what they'll support in this election. I'm Joe Ward, the Liberal Party of Nova Scotia candidate for Cape Breton East, and I'm every bit the same guy that you saw in the CBRM mayoral debate. And if you're worried about party politics and corruption, then send me inside and let me make sure that none of that is happening, because we have big challenges and we do not have time to keep people muzzled or for opportunity-seeking politicians that will zip their lips if there's something in it for them. We need people who will maintain their values and their voice, and that's what I'm offering you. And I hope that you will continue to support me and that you will mark an X next to my name on the ballot for Cape Breton East.